Thank you for tuning in to our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon FBA business for sale in the gun accessory niche. Created in September 2015, this business makes $2,784 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this site is 40583. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business, cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Rob.
Hey, Greg, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. So before we can dive into the questions more about your business, just for a quick summary for those out there in YouTube land watching this video, this website was built, Amazon FBA business was built in September 2015 with a monthly revenue of $18,750 with a 6-month average. The expenses are sitting at $15,985 with a total of net profit of $2,784. Included in the actual transfer of the business, the site content and the inventory will also be included, where the buyer will have the opportunity to purchase the remaining inventory at wholesale price at the time of the closing of the business. So getting into a little bit of the questions, Rob, can you tell me a little bit more about your background in building and running an online business? Is this your first step into the water, or have you had previous experience?
Yeah, this is my first step into the water with doing Amazon FBA. I've dabbled with eBay before and have some past experience with a lot of retail sales, but this is the first real big push into e-commerce in general.
How did you come up with the idea to start this one without giving away the niche, obviously?
Yeah, well, my dad is former law enforcement. My brother is former Army. And so just being around that a lot and talking to my dad about business ideas. Originally, I was thinking I would do something in the music niche because I have a big background in music, but then just kind of stumbled into this. And the more I researched it, the more I felt like this was something that I could really add a lot of value in.
Very cool. So you kind of have a semi-quasi relation to the actual niche. For someone that's out there, never done Amazon FBA, maybe never even an online business, they're looking to buy the first one, could you just explain very briefly how this makes money?
Yeah. So Amazon FBA, what's really cool about it is, so everybody's familiar with Amazon by now. You go on and there's a whole bunch of different products listed there. With FBA, what happens is it stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. So I receive a product from my supplier and then I send it into Amazon. And then when a customer purchases that product, Amazon packs it, ships it, handles all the customer service. If there was a return or anything, they would handle the returns. So after I've done my initial job of just sending the product to Amazon, they take care of everything else. So I don't end up having to do onesie, twosie orders. I end up sending in 100, 200 products at once, and that just becomes 1 or 2 shipments. And then Amazon takes care of the 1 or 200 shipments for me.
Very cool. So why did you decide to sell this business?
I'm looking to scale up and going into a different direction. And this is going really well, and it doesn't take that much work. But at the same time, I know I can scale something else with a little bit more capital to start off with. Really, the biggest growth hurdle that I've even had with my current business is not having enough money for more inventory because I sell out every single month. So I feel like starting off with a higher capital investment in something else, I'll be able to scale quicker. And somebody else should be able to scale this quicker with a little bit of money to back it.
Very cool. So you're going to more or less invest this money into another business that you have an idea of. You just need the capital to start it.
Yep, exactly.
And moving into the history of the business, what was the trajectory of this business the first few weeks and months when you started? Was it pretty much the horses out of the gate, everyone's buying it right away, or did it take a little bit of time to kind of gain that kind of traction?
Yeah, no, so it went so much quicker than I expected. When I originally started, my thought was about a few $100s worth of a particular product in the niche. And I was thinking, okay, maybe, I'll sell this over the course of a couple months, make a few $100s, and that'll be cool. I'll spend it on whatever. And then it all sold within like the first week or two. It's like, whoa, okay, that was a lot better than I expected. And so I just kept reinvesting and took it from just a few $100 investment to a lot more than that now.
That's awesome. And so it just kind of snowballed up right away. That can definitely be one of the huge advantages of working with something like Amazon FBA, where Amazon just takes care of so much of it for you with the traffic, conversions. And like you said, everyone knows Amazon, so everyone trusts that platform, which is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you learned from this particular business that you're going to apply to those future businesses that you're going to start with the money from the sale?
One big thing would be just relationships in general. So the time that I put into this, the biggest time thing has really been building relationships with suppliers and going to trade shows and that sort of thing. And so that work is really done at this point for this business. But now I have that knowledge to go into something again, is just realizing, okay, making the right connections right out the gate and talking to the right people and finding the right sources is really what's going to help me grow quickly and efficiently, really.
Absolutely agree with you there. What did you try that just didn't work?
I think what I've tried a couple times now and has not worked great is trying to outsource with a VA. And I know it could work, but I think I just got a little ahead of myself and wanted to really just do a whole lot at once. So I ended up hiring somebody to do a VA for social media because I had a decent social media following with the site and was thinking if I could bump up traffic that way, that'd be great. And just having this guy write content. And then I had another guy that was supposed to be researching products, and I taught him how to research products well. And with the outsourced aspect of it, I'm sure it could have worked if I'd invested more time in the guys, but just out the gate, I realized that, okay, it's going to take a lot more time to invest in them than I'd originally anticipated.
Yeah, skill transfer isn't always the easiest thing, even though we hope it to be. We can write out the SOPs we want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of traffic, it mainly coming from Amazon, or are you having organic referral? You mentioned you have some social traffic. Where is all the traffic coming from for this?
There's no exact metrics, but so I do have a website that comes along with the sale. It really just acts as a front for working with suppliers and gives me an email address. So I'll show suppliers my website to show them that I'm legit and everything. And then any of the products on there are linked to Amazon. So I might be getting some sales that way. I know I've gotten some sales through social media, like around Father's Day and that sort of thing. I'll post a promo code and people will be clicking on it and I'll get some sales through that. But for the most part, it's all just through Amazon.
Very cool. And now to break down the earning types and kind of the history of this, it's just one Amazon product, right? You just have one product on Amazon FBA for this business?
No, actually. So this is a wholesale business with, I have nearly 100 SKUs.
Okay.
With multiple suppliers.
Would you say that a few of the products make up the bulk of the sales, or is it pretty even throughout your entire supply?
There's four suppliers that I work really closely with, and they each have a number of different SKUs. But it's almost like you could think of like variations. So really what I'm buying is multiple variations from them that totals up to about 100 SKUs.
Okay, so like different colors, more or less, or some kind of small variation like that.
Yeah, kind of sizes.
Gotcha. And how stable are the earnings? Do you notice that there's a huge seasonality for this, or is it pretty stable month to month?
I've been really surprised. I thought there was going to be a lot more seasonality than there has been, and it really has not been that way. It's been pretty steady across the board, and I've just kept adding more suppliers. Actually just brought on a new one in the past week that I'm super stoked about.
And you said you have a site. Are you adding content to that site, or is it kind of more of a static kind of just
It
storefront?
is a completely static storefront.
Nice. As far as opportunities go, if you wanted to take the least risky path to grow this, say you're going to keep this business, what would you do to grow this business without taking, with taking the least amount of risk you could?
So if you wanted to grow with little risk, the easiest thing to do would be to take the top sellers and just double down on the inventory. Because the biggest hurdle that I've had to growing has really been that I didn't start out with very much capital to put into this. And so the amount of inventory I have is all based on profits. And I run out of inventory on my top sellers pretty much every month.
That's a good problem to have, but I understand the growing pains.
Yeah.
As far as if you wanted to take this business and just through caution in the wind, you don't care about risk, what would you do to grow the site or the Amazon FBA business as quickly as possible?
As quickly as possible, I would probably, and I've been thinking about it, turn my website into a Shopify site and drive traffic there, because then I wouldn't have to have the 15% commission that Amazon charges. But I could still utilize Amazon's FBA fulfillment and have them ship the product for me. You can link Shopify and FBA directly to each other. So I'd keep all my inventory with Amazon, but not have to pay them the 15% commission, just have to pay them the pick and pack when stuff is purchased off the website. So I would definitely be building out my website quite a bit, both with inventory that I have in Amazon, as well as most suppliers actually offer flat files that you can upload and have about 30 or 40,000 different products in this niche that you could drop ship.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I feel like a lot of Amazon FBA sellers never really take advantage. Like once you get going, you have a pretty good thing going. I feel like if you have a brand, doing a Shopify store totally makes sense. It's multi-channel selling. I mean, obviously there's more skill sets to overcome. You have to learn a lot of different stuff when you go to Shopify because you basically handle the whole process yourself, right? More or less. But that's cool. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I've done quite a bit of research, and I'm happy to pass on the info with quite a bit of tools that really automate a lot of this stuff. So, like for example, I just recently decided to plug into eBay as well, and that's included with this sale. And so I actually don't do anything extra, and I just started getting probably an extra $500-$600 revenue every month from stuff shipping from Amazon but selling on eBay. So you can do the same thing. Yeah, there's just so many great tools out there that that can automate the whole process. So I'm doing no more work, but bringing in another $500 or $600.
It's awesome. Can't complain about that. So as far as risks do go, what do you think is the biggest risk that a buyer should be aware of for this business?
So because all the stuff is wholesale, I'm purchasing from other suppliers, and it's primarily US made, which is a great thing when so many things on Amazon are Chinese made. The problem that you can run into is competition because other people are jumping on the platform, and MAP pricing. MAP pricing stands for minimum advertised price. And so if they don't follow the rules of abiding by MAP pricing, it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. But I've chosen to work with suppliers that are very strict on MAP pricing. And then really you have much more locked in prices. And the reason that you get the sale over someone else is because you have really good feedback and customer service metrics, which I have perfect for both of those stats.
Excellent. Speaking of customer service and metrics, what kind of work are you doing on this business, let's say on a weekly basis, to maintain it?
So maintaining is probably about 5 hours a week. I'll log in the morning and just check if there's any messages from buyers that I need to respond to. There very, very rarely are, but I want to keep that perfect feedback, like I've said. And then every Friday, I will check my inventory. I'll just run a quick Excel sheet that tells me how many have sold within the past week and add that to my order list. And I'll place an order every 1 to 2 weeks. And when an order comes in, I will repack it and send it to Amazon. So total, that's averaging me about 5 hours a week. You can, if you want to grow the business, then there's a lot of great tools that I can pass on to find more products. The more products you have, the more money you're going to make. But if you just want to maintain, you can do it with 5 hours a week.
Very cool. That's very doable for most people out there for sure. What skills or requirements would you suggest for someone not familiar with this niche to have or perhaps invest in before buying this business?
Honestly, nothing related to the niche. The tools and experience are really going to be Amazon FBA, which I'm happy to provide some training for, having good communication skills and just treating your customers and your suppliers well and building good relationships. But as far as the actual niche, as much as I've been around it, I really didn't know much about this niche going into it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more interesting things. So many people are so worried about not knowing something about the actual niche, but really if you just know the tools and how the business model works, you don't need to know that much about it, especially an Amazon FBA business. I mean, there's basically just a listing of content, right? It's not like you're writing an epic blog post about it or something along those lines. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe you are somewhere, but later on down the road. But
yeah, no, the products really sell themselves. That's the great thing. These are all very high quality products, and they just sell themselves.
Now, would you be willing to sign a non-compete, just something that says, "Hey, look, thank you for buying my business. I'm not going to go and start this exact same business next week"?
Absolutely.
Excellent. And as far as support, are you willing to offer any kind of support to the buyers? It sounds like you are, but what kind of support are you looking to offer?
Yeah, I would be happy to work with whoever buys it for a month or so and just walk them through everything. Honestly, I'm pretty proud of the business, so I want to make sure it continues and grows. So I want to help whoever comes along and wants to purchase it and see them have even more success than I've had.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this is also one of your first real businesses, right? So that's
Exactly.
kind of an awesome thing in of itself. You get your first big exit.
Yep.
As far as whether or not you're open to a split or earn out, obviously the best case scenario for you and for Empire Flippers is someone comes in and just buys it outright. But would you be open to someone that comes in and does 70% up front, maybe 30% on closing, or maybe 60% up front, 40% over the next couple of months based off hitting some training goals? Would that be something you would be at all open to?
Yeah, it's something we could discuss. Like I said, the only reason I'm selling is just so I can reinvest the capital into something else. So I definitely do need some capital to start what I'm pursuing next. But I'm willing to work with somebody to some degree.
Excellent. Now, before I ask you the final awesome question, just to do a quick summary out there for people watching this video on YouTube or on the market listing, a quick summary of this website is it was built in September 2015 as a monthly revenue of $18,750 and expenses at $15,985 and a net profit of $2,784. With the sale of the Amazon FBA business, the website is included that it uses as a static front, mainly to connect with vendors. This also includes the domain, email address, site content, and the buyer will have the opportunity to purchase the remaining inventory at wholesale price. So tell me with what your best pitch is for this website, why someone should buy this website in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah. So this is a website that is fairly, pretty much runs itself as far as it takes me very little time, brings in a really decent income. It's a growing niche, and as well as Amazon is growing huge. So getting in on this, I've really done all of the upfront work for you of finding the inventory and the right products to sell. Now all you really have to do is just resell them.
That's a great pitch. So many people, they undervalue just how difficult niche selection can actually be. And that's one of the big advantages of buying a business in the first place is it's already a proven niche. So it's proven to sell, right? So
yeah, on the products especially. I've vetted out hundreds and hundreds of products and narrowed it down to the ones that really, really do well and have low competition and high volume.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone out there watching this on YouTube and you want more information about this business, go ahead and click the link below this video that would take you to our marketplace listing. Now, if you're watching this on the actual listing and you want more information, you can become a depositor today. It's super easy. All you have to do is click the button that says make a deposit and you'll be taken to the next step. So thank you for coming on, Rob. It was an absolute pleasure.
Hey, thanks, Greg, for having me.